tuning into my channel. This is going to be a short video. I have something I want to discuss with you. I feel like a lot of you have been a little bit concerned about some of my cemetery videos and have asked me why I'm at cemeteries and telling me I don't belong there if I don't have family there, and that I should be a little bit more respectful when I'm walking through cemeteries and not walk on top of graves. So I want to address some of these comments that I've been getting so that I can, whatever I can do to make you all understand why I do this, and the fact that I am indeed being very respectful of the graves and I'm not walking on top of them. But I do want to start with a little bit of backstory about me. I grew up kind of, what do I want to say, maybe around the topic of death and cemeteries. My grandfather was a mortician, and I grew up basically in a funeral home because there was an apartment above it, and I spent quite a bit of time there where my grandparents lived. So death and cemeteries and bodies and the whole topic surrounding all of that really is not unnatural to me because I did grow up around that. And I mean, we're all going to die, and I'm pretty comfortable with death, with the topic of death. And so having said that, that is a little bit of my background. And so I'm going to move forward a little bit into why I do the cemetery videos. How it all started out was I am an artist, and I have found it very difficult to find material to paint that I will not be infringing on somebody's copyright rights. I don't know exactly how to word that. If a person takes a photograph or paints a picture and I copy that, that is an infringement of copyright. It's illegal, especially if I'm going to sell it. So it's difficult as an artist to find that material to paint or draw or whatever it is, whatever your medium is. It's difficult to find that material. So I go out on the road and I try to find my own material. The whole reason behind the cemetery in particular is that I just happened to be on this website one day, and I was looking through all the pictures. It is a website that does have copyright free. You have permission to use their photographs to whatever form you want to use them in your art. You have their permission to use them, even if you sell them, even if it's for commercial use. So I found this really beautiful picture of these headstones in this very old cemetery in Ireland. And it was a husband and wife, and like I said, these were very, very old. And the headstones were crosses, and they were side by side. And I don't remember the dates on them, but well over 100 years, maybe even 150, maybe more. So over the years, these two headstones had started to go like this, and then they were touching, and that was so beautiful to me that these headstones could have gone like this or like this, or what, they could have done anything, but they leaned into each other, and excuse me, and it was a husband and wife, and I just thought that was beautiful. So having seen that picture, like I said, being comfortable around the topic of death and cemeteries and whatnot, I wanted to start painting beautiful headstones or somehow incorporate them into my art. And I'm not being macabre. Somebody who is not familiar with the topic or comfortable with the topic may see it that way. My intention is not to, it's more just for beauty, and it's something I find beautiful and something I find interesting. And so I started going to cemeteries to take photographs of headstones that I wanted to paint, since oil painting is my preferred medium. And so I started going to cemeteries and taking photographs of beautiful headstones. And so I started showing them to family and friends and a couple of online websites that I belong to, and we share pictures and art and a lot of different things. And people really liked my photographs and thought I should put them into an album, which I did, and I put it on YouTube. And I just got all kinds of comments, and people would ask me, you know, what state is this or where are these? So obviously I am in New Mexico, so you can tell from what I do in my descriptions below my cemeteries and my videos of Albuquerque that I'm in New Mexico. And I started getting emails from people, and this was back when YouTube had their private messaging, and people started asking me if I would take a picture of their loved ones, a picture or a video of their loved one's grave and their grave marker, because they lived so far away, they probably would never be able to make it back here to see it. And they wanted that comfort of having that picture and that video of their loved one's grave. So I started doing that for them. It brought them comfort and some sort of peace. And so that is when I started going and videotaping and taking photographs that were not going to be used for, not necessarily, some of them I might use for my art. I have not given these people exclusive rights to them, nor have they asked. They're my photographs. That isn't the issue at all. And so that's how it really started. And so I was contacted by enough people who said that they had posted requests. People do post requests online at, say, Find a Grave or Billion Graves, at some of those websites that you are able to post requests if you want somebody to do exactly that, to go and take a picture or a video of your loved one's grave. And so people said they'd put requests on there, and it's been years and nobody has filled their requests. And so I started doing that. And I still do that. I submit a lot of my photographs that I do. I don't necessarily, all of the photographs I take are not by request. A lot of the photographs that I do submit to these websites are photographs of grave markers that have not been photographed yet. So it's part of the historical preservation, really, and also to help document the unmarked graves or the graves that nobody has taken a photograph of yet in cemeteries. So I do that. I submit these pictures for that. And so there are a lot of reasons why I do what I do. So I've given you several of them. So I am not just, and even if I was going into graveyards just to go into graveyards, I have several reasons for going. And the very last reason is I find cemeteries beautiful and I find them peaceful. Like I said, I'm comfortable with the topic of death. And for those of you who aren't, maybe that's why you're bothered by my going into cemeteries. I'm not sure if you're bothered by it, why you would want to watch a video about a cemetery, since my titles for my videos do say that I'm taking a video of a cemetery. So I'm a little confused as to why people would be bothered by it, but at the same time wanting to watch it. I'm not uncomfortable with going to graveyards. I am not into the supernatural, into the paranormal. I find them comforting, thought-provoking, and I feel a sense of peace most of the time. If I don't, I leave. I really think they're beautiful, and death is an extension of life. It's just a different. it's inevitable, and I have been comfortable with it, and it's just an extension. It's just someplace else that your spirit goes. that's not here on earth. You know, whatever your beliefs are, if you believe in the afterlife or if you believe that's it, however you believe, it doesn't matter. It's inevitable. And so I do go to them because I find them peaceful and beautiful, and I love to take videos and I love to take photographs. And when I do take my son with me, or sometimes I take a friend, I'm not particularly thrilled about going alone because a lot of these are very remote places. I don't walk on top of graves. Not intentionally. There is a video where my son's foot fell through a grave. But if you read my description below that, it also said that he didn't realize there was a grave there. And when I went over to help him, there was no indication that there was a grave there. The headstone, if there ever had been one, was gone. The ground, there was no way to know that there was a grave there. And a lot of these older cemeteries, there doesn't really seem to be sometimes any rhyme or reason in the way that the graves are. Sometimes headstones are right up against each other but facing in opposite directions. I mean, I don't always know. I'm very careful, but I don't always know if I'm walking on top of a grave. I don't know it because I wouldn't do it intentionally, nor would my son or anybody else that I would ever take to a cemetery with me. So I'm not being disrespectful. And a lot of times if it looks like I'm standing on top of a grave, I usually videotape with my cell phone and I hold it off to the side. I stand next to the grave and I hold it off to the side or in front of the grave marker so you can read it. I'm not actually standing on the grave in front of the grave marker. And a lot of times I will zoom in if it's necessary. There have been circumstances where I couldn't get very close to it. So I'll zoom in with my camera, but I don't walk on top of graves. And last of all, I have only been to one private cemetery. At the time, I did not know it was private. I had done a lot of research to the cemetery, and I still don't know that it's private because it says it's a public cemetery online, which is how I find the cemeteries that I'm going to. But the cemeteries that I go to have visitation hours, which is the visitation hours are usually, you can't be there after 6 o'clock in the evening, and that is year-round. Which I don't ever go after dark anyhow. And I don't go to private cemeteries. If it says no trespassing, and I have been to one like that, and I did not go into the cemetery because it said no trespassing. I wasn't sure what that meant. I wasn't sure if it was a family cemetery and you had to have special permission to go, but it's the only one I've ever been to that said no trespassing, and I didn't trespass. And you've also asked me why I go through a gate to a cemetery. There's obviously a reason a gate is there. Yes, I've only been to one cemetery, and all of the times I've ever been to a cemetery, I've been to one that did not have a gate. They almost all of them have fences and gates. Now, I don't know what the reason is for that. Maybe it's because people go and vandalize. People do steal the headstones, and then they try to sell them online, the older, beautiful ones. Maybe it's to prevent people from vandalizing with their motorcycles, from driving around and tearing the ground up. I have seen cemeteries locally here in Albuquerque that somebody obviously had gone through with a motorcycle or an ATV or something because they tore up the grass. So my best guess, I have not researched it because it hasn't been a concern for me because I don't trespass. But my best guess to why there are fences around the entire cemetery, not the individual graves that you all have asked about, but cemeteries almost always are fenced off with a gate. And there's usually a sign on the gate that says, please close this gate when you leave. And I do. So that's my video. I wanted to explain to you, so those of you who are angry at me for going to cemeteries and telling me I have no business there, I do have. I also have been in Albuquerque my whole life, so I have friends and family buried all over Albuquerque and in other parts of New Mexico. And so I do I do have permission to go. I do have a reason to be there. And I don't vandalize, I don't steal, and I'm not being disrespectful. And for those of you who think I am, I apologize that that's how you feel. But my reasons for going are not the reasons that you think, and I hope this has helped you to understand why I go. And anyway, for those new subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. For my old subscribers, thanks for sticking with me, and I'm going to be continuing to make more cemetery videos and more videos of Albuquerque and several other kinds of videos that I do. Thank you again for your subscriptions and sticking with me and all your likes and your great comments. And for those of you who haven't yet subscribed, if you want to be notified when I upload new videos, hit that notification bell. I don't know which side it's on. Hit the notification bell, and that way you don't have to check back and see if I've uploaded any new videos. You will be notified. And give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're so inclined. And until next time, I'll see you later.